Alright, so today we are going to be talking about one of the long awaited reruns for 3.5 second half patch, and that is going to be Shenhe. Shenhe was a very popular choice when it came to the cryo teams that been centered around recently, and also is one of the better buffers in the game for cryo. So today we're going to be talking about Shenhe, as a lot of people weren't able to grab her when she first came around. This is due to a lot of really cool banners around her time. But now is the time for a lot of people to be able to get her on her rerun. So we're going to be talking about Shenhe. Is she worth it? What does she do? What does she need? All that type of stuff is going to be in this video. If you're excited for Shenhe, or you're enjoying the content that I'm currently making for these characters, make sure to leave a sub and a like. But let's go ahead and talk about our 5-star rerun, which is going to be Shenhe. Now Shenhe, like I said, is our cryo buffer. This is her main role in many teams, and she prioritizes certain stats that not a lot of other characters do. So we're going to be talking about her talents. With her normal attack, it is going to be basically not used unless you want to run primary DPS Shenhe with Chongyun or something. This isn't something that you're going to be leveling up at all. Shenhe has very minimal time on the field because of how quick swappy she is with her buffs. You're not going to be seeing her a lot, although her model is really nice. But let's go ahead and talk about her skill, the Spring Spirit Summoning. Now there is a press and a hold version of this skill, and both of them have their benefits, which we'll be talking about in a quick second. But they both contain the AoE damage instance, I guess you could say, one being a linear rush while the other is a little mini explosion. And this will trigger the benefit of Icy Quill. Now Icy Quill is going to be the number of times your attacks are buffed, and they are going to drain after how many hits that you get. Now the one thing about these Icy Quills is that if you're doing an AoE hit, like with Ayaka's charge attack, her ult, Ganyu's bloom, or her ult, if you hit multiple enemies with cryo damage, when it becomes normal, charge, plunging attacks, elemental skills, or burst, all of these quills are going to be taken up if you hit multiple enemies at the same time. They won't count as one quill. They're going to count as many hits as enemies as you hit. So if there's 3 enemies on the field and you hit one of them, then you lose 1 quill. If you hit all 3 of them at the same time, then you're going to be wasting all 3 quills. Now the number of quills you get and the amount of time this buff lasts does vary on if you press or hold it. If you press these skill, you are going to have a 10-second buff with a 5 trigger quota, so you're going to be having 5 hits that are affected by this buff. And then if you hold it, you are going to get 15%, not 15%, but 15 seconds on the duration of your buff, and 7 quills to use for your attacks. So you do kind of have to choose wisely in what you use this on. Popping this right before you use Ayaka's burst, Ganyu's bloom, or Ayaka's charge attack. A lot of these cryo DPSs are, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing when it comes to using Shenhe's quills. Although you will be getting a buff regardless, which we will be talking about in our passives and the burst. It's nice to be able to maximize the amount of damage you're buffing with this character. Now, one thing that I do want to know is that in one of her passives, triggering the skill by pressing or holding does make a difference in the damage you're going to do in a specific way. If you press it, like I said, you are going to have a shorter amount of stacks for your Icy Quills, and you are going to have a shorter duration. And if you hold it, you get a longer one for each, and you also get more. But in one of her passives, which is Spirit Communion Seal, if you press it, Elemental Skill and Elemental Burst damage is going to be increased by 15% for 10 seconds. This will be granted to all party members and not just cryo teammates. So this is really nice to know. She can be used in other teams, but like I said, she is mainly going to be helping out cryo because her skill is buffing cryo mainly, and the passive is buffing the damage in total. So it is going to help cryo units a lot more than any other types, but having this passive which helps out anybody on the team is really nice. But pressing the skill is going to allow your elemental skill and elemental burst damage to be increased, and then if you hold it, your normal attack, charged attack, and plunging attack damage is going to be increased for 50% for 15 seconds. So depending on what type of damage you're about to do, or what you think you're about to do, or the way your rotation is set up, pressing or holding is going to vary between the way you play with Shenhe and the characters that you play on your team. Now for her ult is going to be this really big field that she's going to have as you, I guess you could say, while you buff your units, and it's going to be this big ring while her spirit is basically running around hitting the enemy. while you are in this ring, you are going to be decreasing the cryo res and physical res of opponents in it, and you are going to be doing a little bit of damage while they are in this circle. So the res decrease depends on the talent, which I'm pretty sure this scales on based on the talent, but the res decrease is going to be 13% and it's going to last for 12 seconds. Now, although 13% doesn't seem like a lot, decreasing the res of an enemy is going to impact the numbers by a lot, especially when you are, stacking this with a bunch of other buffs. You're going to be doing some massive numbers while this ult is up. Now, also with the passive from Shenhe, this passive is going to allow the burst to be able to get 15% crowd damage bonus when you are within the field. So I love how Shenhe's burst and skill are affected by her passives, and the passives boost and buff the skill and burst themselves, making them a lot more useful, making them have a lot more damage bonuses. That's going to help Shenhe with buffing cryo teammates by a lot. Now, as you can see, a lot of her kit is based around buffing cryo units and cryo damage. There is a res decrease for physical res, but you're not going to be using that a lot. It is something you can use, but for the most part, you're going to be using cryo enemies or cryo damage based units for this. So basically, for the people that can use Shenhe, is going to be your standard cryo DPSs. So someone like Ganyu, someone like Ayaka, being able to use these girls are going to allow you to do some massive numbers with Shenhe and her buffing. And we're going to be talking about one last thing when it comes to Shenhe's burst, or not her burst, but her buffs, that they're going to be scaling off of her attack. Now, this is very important to note. This is not like Bennett, where it comes to the buff coming from their base attack. Shenhe is going to be using her actual attack percentage, so this is very important to note, and you're going to be wanting to run a fat ton of attack on Shenhe so you're able to maximize this buff. Now me, I'm kind of running a little bootleg build but for the most part, all of these artifacts have a bunch of attack percent on it. As you can see, that one has 21%. This one has 4%, not the best, but it has a good amount of energy recharge, and then the rest are attack percent, goblet, circlet, and sands. So you are going to want to run as much sands as you can, or as much attack percent as you can, and both 2-piece bonuses are attack plus 18%. But if you want to be a little bit more effective with how you use Shenhe and her buff, you kind of want to run all attack percent plus run Noblesse Oblige, so that you're able to get that 20% buff to everyone on the team. So that's going to help a lot. Her weapon is something that not a lot of people really need, although it's going to be helping her a crap ton. The Calamity Queller is one of the highest base attack weapons in the game, and rightfully so, because Shenhe needs the attack as much as she can get. And the main stat is attack, and it is quite low because of how high the base attack is. So not a lot of characters are going to use this weapon. It is possible to use, and it can be used on a lot of different characters, just because holy crap, that's a high base attack stat stick. But the passive for this weapon is gain 12% all elemental damage bonus. This is basically only for whoever's carrying it. Obtain consummation, I think that's how you say it, for 20 seconds after using an elemental skill, causing your attack to increase 3.2% per second. So this is going to help her get an even higher buff, and this attack increase can have a maximum of 6 stacks. And then when this character equipped with this weapon is on the field, the attack increase is doubled. So basically, this is all around just giving Shenhe, or whoever's holding this weapon, a fat ton of attack buffs so that they hit harder, and in Shenhe's case, the buff gets even bigger when she's off the field. So someone like Xiangling, she could use it because she does get off field, so the attack of the burst will be able to help, but I'm not quite sure if it will work like that, just because I know Xiangling's burst snapshots. So, that could be a little weird when using the polearm. But overall, a really niche polearm, not really a universal one. This is one of the more hyper specialized ones for just Shenhe, to be honest. Anything regarding energy recharge or attack percent is going to help Shenhe very, very well. If you're trying to build her for DPS or sub DPS, that's possible. But again, like I said, Shenhe is mainly a buffer. She's going to be used with Ayaka and Ganyu, and she's overall a really nice and fun character to have, because you can have absolute bombs and nukes with Ayaka's and Ganyu's normal attacks, their bursts. They hit so hard, especially when you stack multiple buffs on top of Shenhe's buff. you can see the damage almost double, like by a big amount, when you have all these buffs, like, you know, Zhongli's Res Shred, Kazua's elemental damage boost, Bennett's damage buff. You know, there's so many buffs that you can stack on top of you know, on top of an active character, and have them do damage, and then have Shenhe's Res Shred, Shenhe's cryo damage buff funnel all into all of those buffs. It's going to make absolutely nasty combinations for some of the biggest damages you've seen for cryo. So is Shenhe worth it? In my honest opinion, if you really enjoy using Ganyu, Ayaka, or you want to, maybe this is very, I guess you could say hypothetical, but if there's another cryo DPS coming out in the future, Shenhe's going to be there for them, and Shenhe's going to help a lot. These are really good characters that Shenhe can be paired with, because cryo damage is going to be her main role for buffing. And if you end up using those characters, Ganyu, Ayaka, if you like cryo period, then Shenhe's there for you. She's going to help a lot. Eula can use her as well because of the physical shred. So, you know, overall, if you like cryo units, if you have any of these units I've basically explained, or you want them in the future, Shenhe might be a good pick for you. If you don't necessarily like any of the cryo units, or you don't find yourself needing any type of cryo buffer for the most parts, you're not going to really need Shenhe. Shenhe is only needed if you want to run physical and cryo teams. Other than that, she has really nice cryo application through her burst. She helps with freeze with that burst. Again, like I said, with the cryo application, she's really nice unit. But overall, if you don't like that element type playstyle, or if you don't like cryo units in general, like Ayaka and Ganyu, then maybe you should skip Shenhe. She's not really the most needed character in the world, not by any means, because you can replace her with other characters to fill in that gap. But if you want to just boost your account, cryo damage DPS units just a bit further or even higher, then Shenhe's the character for you. If not, then you should probably skip her. But that's pretty much going to be it on Shenhe. She's a really cool character, really cool buffer. I enjoy using her a lot. She's one of my favorite characters in this game because of how crazy she does with the nukes, and her model looks absolutely insane. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching out to the end. I will have one for Ayaka very, very soon. But see you on the next one, and peace.